Okay, let's just jump right in. What if I told you that pretty much everything you think you know about AI creativity is, well, wrong? And what if the key to unlocking its full potential wasn't some complex billion-dollar retraining, but a simple phrase, just 8 words that you can start using right now? We're about to break down a new technique that is going to completely change how you talk to AI.
Does this joke look a little familiar? I asked ChatGPT for a simple coffee joke, and this is what it spit out. And it's fine. But then I asked again, and again, and I got the exact same joke. Every single time. And that's a perfect example of a problem I bet a lot of us have run into.
You know that feeling, right? You're stuck in this frustrating loop. You're trying to brainstorm to come up with something new, and the AI just keeps giving you the most predictable, most boilerplate response you can imagine. It's enough to make you wonder.
So you have to ask, right? Is this it? Is this the creative ceiling for these incredibly powerful AI models? For a long time, the consensus in the AI community was a reluctant, yeah, probably. But a recent paper out of Stanford just flipped that entire idea on its head. So, let's unpack this mystery of the boring AI. It seemed like when models like ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini were trained to be helpful and harmless, something went catastrophically wrong with their creative spark. The models just sort of collapsed into this safe, boring, and super stereotypical version of themselves.
Now, there's actually a technical term for this. It's called mode collapse. The theory was that in the process of making AI safer, we had accidentally flattened its personality. We forced it to always choose the most common, most expected path, which basically erased all the interesting creative detours.
And for years, we all pointed the finger at these guys right here. RLHF, which stands for Reinforcement Learning from Human Feedback, and DPO, or Direct Preference Optimization. These are basically the complex ways we use humans to vote on the AI's answers to teach it what's good and what's bad. The assumption was that these processes had permanently damaged the models. But as it turns out, we were blaming the wrong culprit entirely.
Okay, so here's the twist. The Stanford research team dug a little deeper, and what they found was actually shocking. The problem wasn't the AI's training algorithm at all. Nope. The real culprit was much closer to home. It was us.
So this is the crucial point. We all had this belief that making an AI safe meant we had to sacrifice its creativity, that it was a zero-sum game. But that was a complete misunderstanding of what was going on. The AI wasn't broken, our way of asking it things was. And this is where it gets really fascinating, because it's all about psychology. The researchers found that the human raters, the people teaching the AI, were falling for their own cognitive biases. Things like the mere exposure effect, where we like things just because they're familiar, or processing fluency, our tendency to think something is higher quality just because it's easy for our brains to understand. We kept rewarding the most typical answers, not the most creative ones. And in doing that, we accidentally trained the AI to be boring. And listen, this isn't just a theory. They proved it with cold, hard data. They found what they called a typicality bias with a mathematical weight of 0.57. Now, you don't have to be a statistician to understand this. That is a massive signal, showing that we humans systematically prefer the conventional over the novel when we're rating AI. And this really gets to the most hopeful part of this whole discovery. The safety training didn't erase the model's creativity. It just buried it. It buried it under this thick layer of safe and typical responses. The AI's full potential was still in there, just waiting for a completely different kind of key. So how do we unlock all this trapped creativity? Well, the researchers' solution, which they call verbalized sampling, is so simple, it's almost funny. It's a fundamental shift in how we ask the model for information, getting it to access all that hidden potential. Just look at this comparison. On the left, you've got the old prompt that gets you stuck in that boring loop. On the right, the new way. See the difference? By asking for multiple responses and their probabilities, you're giving the AI a totally different set of instructions. You're not asking for the single best answer anymore. You're asking for a random sample from its entire pre-trained knowledge base.
So, does it actually work? Oh, absolutely. Of course I had to try it myself. When I used the new prompt, this was one of the 5 jokes that came back. It's clever, it's unexpected, and it's something I have never seen ChatGPT generate before. Just like that, the trapped creativity was unlocked. So how can you use this right now? Seriously, it's this easy. The simplest method is just this copy-paste template.
It works on any of the major chatbots, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, you name it. You just paste this text into the chat and then add your own prompt at the very end. It forces the model to dig deeper and give you a way more diverse set of answers.
Now, if you want to take it a step further, you can use what's called a system prompt or custom instructions. By adding this kind of text to your settings, you can make the AI always respond with more creative, diverse options automatically. That way you don't have to paste that long prompt in every single time.
And for all the developers watching, they've even got you covered. There's a dedicated Python package you can use. You can literally install it with one line of code and integrate this powerful sampling method directly into your applications to generate more creative content on the fly.
But look, this isn't just a neat party trick. The researchers tested this technique extensively, and the performance improvements aren't subtle. They are absolutely staggering across the board. Just take a look at this chart. With a standard prompt, you only recover about 24% of the base model's original creativity. But with verbalized sampling, that number shoots up to nearly 67%. We're talking about a nearly threefold increase in recovering the creativity we thought was lost forever.
And it's not just for one-off tasks. In tests on creative writing, poems, stories, jokes, this method produced a more than twofold increase in the diversity of the AI's output. You simply get a much wider range of ideas.
And here's the real kicker. Humans actually prefer these more creative outputs. When they collected thousands of ratings, the responses generated by verbalized sampling were preferred by a margin of nearly 26%. So we didn't just make the AI more creative, we actually made it better.
And maybe the most mind-blowing finding of all is this. The technique works even better on bigger, more powerful models. A model like GPT-4 gets twice the diversity boost compared to a smaller version. What that suggests is that our most advanced AIs have this vast, untapped well of creativity just waiting for us to ask the right way.
So what does this all mean? What are the big takeaways here? First, that mode collapse problem isn't a permanent scar from safety training. It's a simple prompting issue. Second, and this is huge, it proves we don't have to choose between a safe AI and a creative one. We can have both. And finally, it shows us that the AI's true potential was there all along, hiding right under our noses.
So, is prompt engineering dead? Maybe not. But what we've learned is that we don't just need better prompts, we need to ask better questions. For years, we've been trying to wrestle creativity out of these AIs with super complex prompts, and it turns out we were just asking the wrong thing. This discovery really redefines our relationship with these tools. It suggests the bottleneck isn't the AI's ability, but our ability to ask questions that unlock its true diverse potential. The real frontier isn't just engineering a prompt, it's learning how to ask a better question.